Hello nieces, hello nephews, it's your Uncle Charles here and welcome back to my YouTube channel where we do unbiased price action analysis. Nieces and nephews, hello. I usually let my intro say hello to my nieces and nephew, but I wanted to specifically say it today. Hello to everybody because, wow, the price action, man, the price action is still creeping up and we got a new 52-week high. All right. We talked a little bit about CPI, not too much, mostly focused on the price action because the price action is where the action is, hence the word action and price action. But I mentioned, we want to watch out for the reaction, for the market reaction. And that's what I briefly want to talk to you guys about, okay? I got to take this to my Discord. And I wrote in my general lean, I give the bull case, bear case, updates throughout the day with SPY. But in my general lean, I wrote, it's another day-to-day and predictability is low, okay? I always say we can't predict the market, but the market does have some tendencies that give it some predictability. And on day-to-days, predictability tends to be low. And I wrote anything can happen, so we must be open-minded to the bull case and the bear case, which I wrote up here, okay? I wrote here for everyone to remember. This is a very important message. To be a sheep, you have to be willing to pay attention to the traps and trade with the traps. And I wrote here, remember, the market has a nature to be trappy, and usually the first reaction is the fake one. Trade with the traps. I was referring to the release of the CPI data that the market tends to be and the initial reaction tends to be the fake one, and then come market open, that's when the real move happened. I think a similar case happened with NFP. You guys can see here NFP. This was last Friday. Unemployment and NFP. When the data got released, it dropped all the way down to 455.6 before bouncing up. A similar situation where even, the SPY tried to gap up pre-market, but when CPI got released, it dropped initially, and then it bounced, okay? So this is, if you're trying to be a sheep-style trader, remember, we follow the price action, but our main thing is following the traps and trading with the traps, okay? So what happened intraday? Well, the market dropped, and when market opened, bears had an opportunity to prove themselves, but they didn't. Instead, we got a breakout of my 462 level. If you guys recall, I gave you guys this level yesterday. 462 was yesterday's high, and I mentioned above that would be some bullish follow-through. Okay, so yeah, for Monday I mentioned you want to stay bullish above 459.5, and it bounced off 459.5. That was July high. Today I mentioned if it clears 462, which it did on the 15-minute chart, and this was alerted in the group, we got a small close above the 462 level here, put it 463.5 in play. If 462 failed, then the lower targets would be back in play. We don't go puts unless we get a false breakout. And I mentioned we got the close above. From there, it bounced a little bit, but it treated that 462 level as support. That's what made me take it more serious. When it break out, it bounced up, but then it treated 462 as a support. You guys can see it on that 1045 candle. That's what made me take the breakout more serious. And from there, it just went up higher. And around 245, we cleared my next target at 463.5 on the 15-minute candle, and it shot up a little higher. Oh, I had a 465 target, but today it only went as high as 464.2-ish. Didn't quite hit my target, but overall, I mentioned to the group always to follow the price action, but watch for that fake out on the first reaction. And it aged well, but it doesn't freaking matter to me unless my peoples are making money, you guys. So I'm hoping and praying that you guys made some bank today. I had a lot of, good amount of people say they didn't do too well today, so made me feel a little bit down. But hey, we gotta brush it off our shoulder, because why? Tomorrow, Uncle Pow is back. Uncle Pow is back with the FOMC. Are they gonna raise interest rates? Are they gonna not? Inflation is still high. The unemployment data was not too bad. I'm leaning that he will raise the inflation and, well, the interest rate, and we could get a drop. But, at the same time, you guys know Uncle Charters can't see the future. I can give you my opinion, but at the end of the day, I can't see the future. I don't know if what I just said is going to play out. But what I will tell you is that I'm going to follow the price action, and I will not argue with it. So that's what I want to cover right now with you guys. As usual, the support's at 462 and 459.5. 462, if I zoom out, this was a pivot high back in March 29th of last year, and it triggered a very nice move to the downside, a legendary sell-off. And then 459.5 is just based on July high. Those are the two support levels that we need to watch. And as long as above those levels, we should stay bullish on the SPY. Okay, if we drop below those levels, that'll be a false breakout setup. Or if we gap below those levels, that could be an exhaustion gap, which would both be bearish case scenarios. And then we would want to enter puts. Okay, we don't want to just enter puts just because the market is too high and it needs to pull back. Okay, don't try to impose your will on the market. Just let the price action play out as it is, and just trade the setups with proper risk management. So as I'm telling you guys right now, you don't want to look for puts until 462 and 459.5-ish fail as support, or if we get some type of exhaustion gap to the downside. Okay, as of right now, if I zoom out here, you guys remember that I got this big old pattern. Some like to refer to it as structure. But yeah, a third test of the resistance would be around 471.3 if the market makers choose to fill this pattern out more to the upside. And it's very possible, as long as SPY can continue to climb the steps of my levels that I've mentioned to you guys. As long as we're continuing to clear resistant levels and the price action behavior is bullish, then we should stay bullish. When the price action changes to bearish behaviors, when we're breaking down support, that's when we want to turn back to bearish. But as of right now, it's safer to stay bullish as long as the market is clearing resistant levels. Okay, and that's exactly what it's doing. So yeah, I got that next resistant level at 465. All right, if we can clear, we can probably head up higher, up to 467, 468.5, 470, and that critical resistant level based on my 1.236 fib level and the top of my rising wedge here is at 471.3. It's possible that could get tested if we can stay above these support levels. Guys, all right. So I just encourage you guys to follow the price action, manage those risks, play with the traps, because when the market releases data at 2 o'clock tomorrow, watch that initial reaction. It could go crazy. But then when Powell speaks around 2:30, watch what the market does when he speaks, because it's usually a reversal that takes place. Not all the time, but there is a tendency that the initial reaction at 2 p.m., it flips the script when Powell speaks or after he's done speaking. Okay, guys? So just watch out for that. Don't call the top, because even if we get a pullback and Powell rug pulls the market, he says something that just put fears in the market or whatever, we don't know where the market's going to pull back or reverse from. Okay, so watch out for the false breakdown setup and watch for the false breakout setups. Okay, guys, what's an example of a false breakout setup? I'll give you guys an example. You see this yellow line? I had a critical fib level right there based on that yellow line. That was at 451.7-ish. And you guys can see we cleared 451.7 here, but Later, we broke back below 451.7, okay, on August 2nd after we got this exhaustion gap. And that is right there an example of a false breakout setup. All right, now what's an example of a false breakdown setup? False breakout is bearish, but a false breakdown is bullish. And you guys can see I got these green lines, fib levels from July high down to October 27th low. And you guys see I had a fib level at 421. As it was dropping, what happened? We recaptured that 421 level. And what happened when we recaptured that back in early November? We went on a crazy rally. We don't need to call tops. And we don't need to call bottoms. We just need to play the false breakout and false breakdowns and trade with the traps. Okay, guys? And right now, I'm not seeing any traps for bulls right now. If we can break down those support levels, then that can possibly set up a trap, false breakout setup, similar to back in July. And that could trigger some downside. But until then, that top of my rising wedge is still a possibility. All right? As long as my condition is met and price stays above 459.5 and 462, I'm bullish. And I will only switch back to bearish if those two support levels fail. I hope that I'm clear with you guys, and I hope this can help you guys and assist you guys. All right? But watch out. Powell speaks tomorrow, 2 o'clock. We might chop a little bit until then, but 2 o'clock and 2:30, watch reaction, okay? 2 o'clock, initial reaction. It could be up or could be down. Just watch it. And then the reversal tends to happen when Powell speaks. Like I said, play those false breakouts and false breakdown setups. Watch out for them and play them, okay? Triple Q showed some more follow through. I mentioned above 394 and 395.5 to stay bullish, guys. And it pushed, the price pushed up higher, going as high as 398.79. I had a 1.236 fib level at 398.75, so it pretty much smashed that level. If Triple Q wants more upside, that is the level that needs to clear, 398.75. If it does, guys, it's gapping up above it. I'll take it more serious during the trading hours when there's volume. But overall, above 398.75 would put 400 in play with 401.5. Excuse me. 400, 402, 404, and 405.4. Those are the levels that are targets above 398.75. For what it's worth, 405.4 is the next fib level above that level. Okay? We don't want to call tops, even though we did hit a critical resistance level. For me to trust a rejection from there, I need to see an exhaustion gap or a false breakout setup. Okay? So if it truly rejects from 398.75, I need to see 397, 395.5, and 394. I need to see those support levels fail to trigger more downside back to possibly 390 and 388. And below 388, bears take back control, and we could possibly drop all the way back down to 383-ish. All right, guys? IWM is still consolidating. It still needs to break above 187.75 to trigger more upside. And to really put a bottom in, it needs to clear 189, my downtrend line, multi-year downtrend line. And to be bearish, it still needs to break below 184.5 to trigger more downside and put lower targets in play. Possibly a drop back down to 180-ish to test this white trend line that I have here, okay? Tesla, I got Tesla's own room. This morning I wrote at market open that 237.5 is next support, and if it fails, lower targets in play. And I mentioned for longs, it would need to clear 239 and 241. Keep in mind, I write a little bit more in depth up here about what my plan is, but to make it short and sweet, that's how I write it. So the point was, below 237.5 is when we would short, or you could short the next breakdown, the next support, play the next setup if you miss one. And for calls, a breakout above 239 or 241 would have triggered that. And as you guys can see, that's what we got. It tested at open. It tested 239 as resistant, rejected, broke down 237.5, and it gave us a decent move, a nice move down to 238.88-ish. And from there, it chopped a lot, faking out bulls and bears. But then at the end of the day, on the 30-minute chart, around 130 candle, You know, we had some other recaptures on the small time frame, but it was very noisy. But towards the end of the day, we recaptured it and it bounced and hit 437.5 at the end of the day. Now notice around here, 237.5, excuse me, not 437.5. So you notice around here at 237.5, it bounced off support as support. That was yesterday. And you notice today, it broke it down and triggered a nice move to the downside. But end of the day, it retested it as a resistance. So yesterday's support served as today's resistance. So as long as below 237.5, bears have a shot at more downside. If it can recapture 237.5, then possibly we can head back up higher with 239, 241, 242.5, and 244 in play. Above 244 would be a recapture of this wedge that I got here. That's when I would be bullish again on Tesla, okay, above 244. But overall, in the shorter term, it needs to recapture 237.5 and 239 to trigger longs for tomorrow. And to be bearish, it needs to stay below 237.5, and follow through would be to break down 236 and 234.5. All right, now 237.5 is a fib level. Okay, I know I got a lot of lines, but if you pay attention to the orange lines, I have fib level from July high down to October 2023 low. Okay, and so there is that fib level, the 38.2 fib level at 236.5 is. To break that down would be bearish follow through, in my opinion, for Tesla. Okay, guys, NVDA, freaking legendary, man. NVDA, I wrote here, first analysis of the day, first setup, post, whatever you want to call it. I wrote bulls need to clear 461 and 462.5 to trigger longs, putting the high targets in play. And I wrote for the bear case, I wrote if 459.5 fail, and then the lower targets will be in play. It was no prediction. We're just looking to react. And it was just legendary. You know, it disappoints me that a lot more people aren't paying attention and playing these setups, but I'm doing my best. And you guys see here, look at this. This pink line is 461. And this yellow line was 462. You know, it went as high as 474 before it started chopping intraday, you know, from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern. I like to refer to that as zombie hours because it's just slow moving and chopping. But at the end of the day, around 2:30, after zombie hours was over and it was done consolidating, it recaptured 472.5, which was a level I had. It cleared 474 and it just pushed up a little higher. It's just so beautiful. So let me go on the daily chart, and I'm praying like I'm able to assist somebody. Let me see here. Let me go to 4 hour actually, because I was charting on the 4 hour. Okay, perfect. There's a lot of lines, but like I said, I have from November 21st, the 4 o'clock pivot here, down to December 5th low, the 4 o'clock pivot here. I have fib levels. And, well, I have that 38.2 fib level, which was at 472.6. That level cleared today, okay? So that's going to be my equilibrium level for tomorrow. As long as above is bullish. 477.5, and the next fib level is at 479.5. Those two levels cleared, we could head back higher, even higher, to higher targets. Obviously over 480, like 481. I got a 483, 485, and 46.5. 46.5 is the next fib level, okay? To be bullish, those levels must clear. And to be bearish, if we're going to switch back to bearish, like I said, we broke out and recaptured this fib level. I have support at 474, 476, 474, and then 472.6. Stairways down, but overall, the big level that bears need to break down is 472.6. Okay? And that should trigger a decent move back to the downside. All right? Apple, yesterday's bounce off that 78.6 fib level showed some follow through, and Apple's back at the megaphone pattern resistant. If it clears 195 again, this could be a higher low, and we could head up higher. All right? Above 195. There was also a pivot high at 196, so watch for the breakout of that. But I would favor a test of July high, which is at 198.23, okay? I would only switch back to bearish if support failed, as usual. 193 and 192.2 are the support levels. So if those fail, that's when we want to switch back to bearish, and maybe we get some moves to the downside. Amazon, it managed to recapture that 146 level. If it can break above 148 tomorrow, should get a move back to the upside to the megaphone pattern at 155.5-ish. All right, if it breaks back below 146, switch back to bearish, and we could drop back down to 143 or even lower than that. 141.5 and 140 would be lower targets. 140 is a fib level, so below that, if it fails, bears in control. AMD still squeezing. I don't know if a lot of people's calling tops on AMD, which is what's causing the market makers to push the price higher. But I encourage you guys to watch for the setups, okay? Let me zoom out. So yeah, 132.8 was a pivot high back in June. And I also have 135 as support. If those levels failed, that's when I would play the false breakout setup and switch back to bearish. All right. Yeah, 137, 135, and 132.8 are supports. Play the false breakout if it happens. But if it doesn't happen, try not to call a top, because we could still possibly squeeze up even higher. Next critical fib level is at 140.6. If that clears, 142 and probably even higher is in play. Next fib level above that's at 148. Okay? So just wait for the right circumstance if you're gonna get bearish on this, all right? But otherwise, it's in squeeze mode, and we'll see when it slows down, all right? Meta finally gave us the breakout of this downtrend line, okay? It was fucking around. I don't know why, but Meta just makes me cuss for some reason. And, you know, we cleared that, what is this, July high. We cleared that July high Thursday, showed follow through on Friday, and then Monday, it pulled back. But today, you know, it looked like a bear trap, and it just recaptured 326.2, and it triggered more upside. Hey, take it one day at a time, right? So yeah, breakout mode, as long as above 332.7, Meta's in breakout mode. If it can clear 334.5, should trigger more upside. 337 and 338.5 would be my targets. Above 338.5, that is a fib level, and I would be bull bias above it, and we could possibly head up higher. 340, 342, 344, and 346 would be the next fib level above that, okay? I would switch back to bearish if 332.5 failed. That would be a false breakout setup and favor some more downside, okay? Down to 330, possibly back to 326.2 with 321 below that, okay? Meta moves, man. Meta moves. Inside daily candle here. So that means the range is 470.6 all the way down to 457.2. That is a big old range. If we break that range, trade in that direction. Above 470.6, bullish. Below 457.2, bearish. Okay? Right now, it's around 463.8. I have next resistant at 466 with 467.5 and 470 above that. Okay? Watch the breakout of those levels. Actually, 470.6. Watch the breakout of those levels. Okay? Support is at 461, 459, and 457.2. If those levels fail, please look to short. Below 455, I would be bear bias again on Netflix and favor us dropping down to the mid 440s. All right? Google, yeah, it tested at 134.4-ish level, that fib level has resisted today. It needs to recapture it again to trigger some more upside. I don't know. It's playing around. But, yeah, 132. The low's at 132.8. So that's 2 days in a row with the low at 132.8. Potential double bottom. We'll see. But that is support. Below 132.8, we could get bearish and drop all the way down to 130, 129.5 is zone. Overall, got to get above 134.4 to be bullish. And if that double bottom wants to play out. Okay? Microsoft, still looking bullish to me. 375 is resistant. Almost tested it. But if it breaks out tomorrow, bullish. Possibly go up and test 380-ish. Above 380, that's a fib level, but above 380.3 could possibly go back to all-time high, okay, which is around 384.3-ish. Right around there, right? If we're going to switch back to bearish, it got to drop, break down support. And, well, 373 and 370.5 are support. 368 and 366.7 are supports below that. Had a lot of buying pressure around 366.7ish. So knowing that there's buying pressure there, if that level break down, that tells me the buy orders are gone. Nothing to stop the bears from dropping lower and testing this uptrend line here around 360-ish. Okay? It doesn't have to pull back, but if it breaks down support, give us that false breakout setup, definitely look to short. Overall, though, if it breaks out 375, bullish. Here is a dark pool. 462. Wow. Guys, I don't make this stuff up. Like, I give you guys these levels. I don't even look, before the dark pools drop, I use fib levels and buy and sell zones, just eyeballing them on the chart. And it's super cool when I see dark pool like aligning with my levels, not gonna lie. So 2.7 billion in premium at that 462 level. That's one of Uncle's levels and it's a dark pool level. And for what it's worth, we also had 1.8 billion in premium at the 464 level. All right, guys, 462 and 464, that's dark pool levels. Here's the spot. Hopefully it doesn't malfunction on me again. Okay, so it's bullish. Uh-oh. It's bullish. Even more bigger premiums and more volume of contracts into calls. Wow, okay. Triple Q, does it agree? Okay. So more volume of puts, but bigger money into calls. It's bullish. Okay, IWM doesn't agree. More volume in puts and more money into puts. Tesla is bullish. NVDA is bullish. Apple is bullish. Amazon is bearish. Higher volume of calls but bigger money into puts. 2,000 contracts compared to 13,000, but that just tells you bigger money into put. Those puts must have been cost a lot of money to get. Big money, high volume. Oh, well, big size. So, I mean, yeah, more volume in calls, but bigger money in the puts. So, Cheddar's Flow is saying that's bearish to us. AMD is bullish. Meta's bullish. Netflix is bullish. GOOG is bearish, straight up bearish. I like to look at the one with the L too. And look at that, that's bullish. Just straight up mix, man. They move it like they pretty much move the same, yet the contracts are different. It's so confusing. Somebody want to explain to Uncle before I go even more bold. And Microsoft is bullish. All right, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. Definitely good luck tomorrow trading. Uncle Powers speaking. Remember, watch that initial reaction. 2 o'clock. It could be bullish. It could be bearish. And it might be hard to predict if it's going to go up or down. But if you wait until the 2:30 when Powell speaks, it could give you a little more predictability when it plays that gives us a trap move. Okay, no guarantees. But if you trade with the traps, it'll at least increase your odds of coming out green. Okay, guys. So thank you guys. Good luck. God bless. Peace.